Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charm. This is another in the Shropshire Hills Churches series. This is the Church of St Mary, Whitton. It's a 12th century building which has been extended and the chancel was completely rebuilt, in fact, in the 1890s by Aston Webb, and it has a Burne-Jones east window, well, another Burne-Jones window as well. So it's interesting building. This isn't actually a parish of its own. This is a portion of the parish of Burford, one of these big sprawling parishes. And because it's so big, it has these been divided into portions, and these portions have their own churches. It's an unusual arrangement, not unique. There are other parishes that have portions divided off, but this is therefore the portion of Whitton in the parish of Burford. So let's have a look around. So as usual, we start at the west end. We've got a nice big font here. Probably has 12th century origins, has been altered since then. We've got here a memorial to the Knowles charity in Burford, with a distribution to the poor on Christmas Day and Whit Sunday annually forever. Of course, it became more difficult as time went on. Various memorials here to members of the Whiteford family. They were the big house family here at Whitton Court. That's another thing that influenced it. Here we can notice this really good batter here, 12th century batter on the wall. It's not that the wall is totally leaning out, but it is that it is narrower at the top than at the bottom. And that's just a way of stabilising the building. Nice Norman window here. There's a modern electric organ. And there's the blocked doorway. North doorway, just a bit of OG work up there. That's the pointiness of it. And another Norman window. So you have these deep displays on them. The chancel, I say, this is basically Aston Webb in the 1890s, 1892, 93. So the pulpit, Aston Webb, the reredos. Up there you have an oil lamp, another oil lamp over there. Of course, no electricity here in 1903. We are very much out in the sticks, as they say, and this is the end of the medieval church. There's a little, I wonder if that's from an old piscina. This is the end of the medieval church. This is now in the Victorian bit, and we've got this east window here. It's Burne-Jones. Burne-Jones is quite avant-garde for his day. So we've got Christ with Mary and presumably John. And then here we've got a couple of angelic figures. Now they're done by, this is in memory of Helen Georgina Garland, who died in 1911, age 31. And this is designed by Edward Burne-Jones, and they are executed by William Morris Workshops. The reredos is alabaster, but it is plain. There's no patterns on it. We've got a credence shelf here, rather than a piscina. The thing about piscinas, they tend to basically pour into the wall of the church, which was not seen as a good idea in the 19th century. This surely would have been intended as an organ chamber, but it's actually a vestry. We've got here the choir stalls, and the pulpit is just a front. It's all you really need here, and certainly what was felt was needed. Walls, unfortunately, and plaster's been taken. I say unfortunately because there would have been wall paintings, and even if it was all just whitewashed, there would have been paintings surely underneath, or there might have been, but we'll never know. Still, in one sense they felt it made it easier to maintain. In another sense they thought it made it look more exciting. Well, it makes it look a lot darker in my view. Nice roof timbers, and so it's a very plain interior. Say the drawer of this building is this these Burne-Jones windows. You've got this wagon roof over the top, And yes, that very, very un-Victorian but very Aston Webb, un-medieval, very Aston Webb sedilia with its polished granite column up the middle. And why not? Have some fun. After all, we don't have to pretend we're living in the Middle Ages. We don't have to pretend it's medieval. So that's the inside here. Very simple building indeed. And here we are outside at Whitton. You can see how simple it is. This simple tower with its little pyramidal roof just sticking up above the, peeping up over the. Sorry, swallowed an insect. Peeping up over the parapet there, and this simple, long, low Norman building beyond. So we'll have a look around the outside and see what there is to see here, really. So here we are outside Whitton. You can see there the weathercock on the top of the little pyramidal roof, and a little Norman window beside the porch. The porch, of course, is Victorian. Nice wooden porch there. Aston Webb, I expect, and you can see Aston Webb's East End there, but it's also under the same roof. Nice simple tower, very solid. It's fortified. Probably is fortified against the Welsh. The base of the churchyard cross, and here again, although it's much simpler than that at Caneham, it's got this niche at the bottom for a candle, which would be lit on special occasions, and All Souls Day, for example, you'd have the light there, and you see the candle flickering in the darkness. Here's the doorway. We've got a plain Norman tympanum, and very typical 12th century. Very obviously not a very wealthy church, but it's not carved or anything. But there's still that desire to have a smart tympanum, and there's that churchyard cross. Obviously, it would have been taller with the cross head on top. That's gone. And here we have the break between the medieval building and Aston Webb. It's just a line, very common, not an issue. Nice setting, all these Michaelmas daisies that fill the churchyard. That, I expect, will be the old beer house, where they kept the beer, not that kind of beer, the beer as in the thing they carted the dead away on. Nothing to do with alcohol. Though I expect there was quite a lot at the funerals in the Middle Ages. So here's the East End, as it's a bit of an overgrown churchyard. And you can see that obviously the Victorian elements. Obviously the vestry is Victorian, the portaloo is modern. Facilities that the Victorians didn't feel they needed, but that moderns feel they do, because in the Victorians you just have a chamber pot, and that's what you'd use. So there's the tower. You can see there again that profile. It tapers upwards slightly, which gives it quite an interesting feel. And it does feel, doesn't it? It does look a bit like a fortress tower. And there's Norman windows and the north doorway. So that is St Mary's, Whitton. As I've said before, the Norman dedications to St Mary, the Virgin Mary, are very, very common. The Normans were very fond of her. There's a nice north doorway. Yes. And there's the vestry. But again, it's Victorian concern, and it simply indicates changes in the way churches are being used and in the way that the clergy relate to their churches. So we come round here and back to the north side, or the south side rather, and the porch. And so there is St Mary's, Whitton. There's quite a number of these little medieval churches scattered around the Shropshire hills. As I've said in earlier videos, the Black Death rather depletes the population around here, and by the time populations start to recover in the 18th into the 19th centuries, what people are doing has changed. There's still a lot of farming, of course, but the growth is not in more farm labourers, it's in quarries, and it's in these industrial, as there used to be quite a bit of cider making around here, so that again, you have the hop pickers and such like. Most of it's gone now. It's a bit further down in the Team Valley. There's still some cider making, and of course once we get into Worcestershire, so when we get into Worcestershire and Herefordshire, Shropshire here, very close to the border with Worcestershire and Tenbury Wells, also Herefordshire and Little Hereford, not Big Hereford but Little Hereford. So it's a lovely area. There's a lot around here. It's well worth visiting if you're ever in the area or thinking of somewhere to have a getaway. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.